Guys, just had to stop by here and say, do not listen to this guy. Just trust me, lol.
Yeah, thanks for the vote of confidence there, Chuck. Tell you what, this is episode number 480 of SMG Viewers Comments. I think if I was full of crap, people would have figured it out by now. And yet, 10 years after I started this show, here we are. Think for myself, be creative. Ew, what the? Yes, I'm talking to you, Neve. Hey everybody, welcome to my weekly comment show. This is where I try and help the best I can, but it works the best when you guys ask me actual recording related questions instead of sounding off about things that you're upset about. I can only respond to what you guys write. So if you have a question you're too afraid to ask, don't be. There's no such thing as a stupid question, but man, are there ever some stupid statements out there. Anyway, I do a weekly pop culture recommendation. And this week, I gotta say, I've got two real wild ones I think you should check out. So for movies and TV, I've gotta say, check out the anime Dan to Dan. I started watching this last night and it is absolutely fucking bonkers. It's amazing. Wow, what a ride. It's about ghosts, it's about UFOs and paranormal stuff and horror. And, you know, normally the crap I'm not into, I checked it out reluctantly based on somebody else's recommendation, and it absolutely blew my hair back. There's only 3 episodes in so far, and I'm just like, oh, I want the rest. It's so fucking good. An awful wild ride. If you're in an anime at all, put this one at the top of your list. It is absolutely wicked. And for my weekly book recommendation, this week it's going to be another graphic novel, and that would be Jodorowsky's and Mobius's The Meta Barons. Just an amazing story, kind of based off the whole NCAL series. If you haven't checked it out, by all means, please do. It's absolutely fucking great. Once again, just a wild ride, just with a lot less sound and explosions and shit like that, but really cool nonetheless. Anyway, this episode is kind of dealing with some of the fallout I had on my Antelope video. Got some pretty interesting observations, got some real interesting suggestions as well. Definitely not going to want to miss this, especially if you're shopping for more AD conversion somewhere down the road. This one's going to be an awful lot of fun. And we got a couple special guests on the show as well.
When I was in university many years ago, I bought something from Antelope Audio, and what a piece of garbage it was. The software never worked right. It was a lot of money for me back then, so I'll never give them another $1.
Okay, now I have heard some things about Antelope in the comments, a lot of bad experiences, mostly on the software end of things and lack of support. Now, I can't validate any of that because I can only give you my experience. They've been really good to me, but then again, you know, I have a major YouTube show, so please do keep that under consideration. I mean, the only thing Antelope can do is get better at what they do. As far as my experience is concerned, the software works fine and the hardware works brilliantly, and it helps me get a whole bunch of analog in and out of my console into the computer. So there is that. I've had absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. Your mileage may vary. I can't attest to what your experience has been. Now, the one thing I can say is they did want to compete with Universal Audio and have like a universal plugin drop in on your DAW and have it work with their software programming and stuff, and it never quite worked, and I believe they dropped support for it, so now you have to treat their plugins like you would Outboard. It's one extra step. It's not the end of the universe, but it is slightly more inconvenient, and I know a lot of people did buy some stuff based on what they said they were going to do, and they kind of wound up dropping it. So yeah, we do have to take that into account, absolutely, but as long as you know what you're getting into is that the software works in its own layer, and once again, you got to treat it in your DAW like you would Outboard. There shouldn't be any kind of problem. As far as I'm concerned, the software compressors and EQs that are included that run on the actual Antelope hardware actually work really, really well and sound fantastic. Just be aware you do have that extra layer to deal with. For me, it's no big deal. I'm used to working with Outboard all the time. Some of you guys might not like that extra step. Again, that's really all up to you.
Hi, my solution would be RME 32DA for outputs and RME 32AD for inputs. Cheers.
Hey, what a fantastic idea. That's only $3,000 more than the Antelope. And you take up 2 rack spaces and you're not going to get Dante. You're still going to be stuck with Maddie. Fantastic suggestion, though. I love the way how you think. Where the fuck did you learn math from?
This is bullshit ad stuff. RME makes exactly this and better, IMHO, with the RME 3280 Pro 2 with Matty and AVB, and also Feral Fish with the 32A Pro and Matty, ADAT, and Dante versions. Don't act like there's no options just as good or better out there and have been out there for a long time.
Oh, remember what I said about statements? Yeah, what you're suggesting would cost way fucking more than the Galaxy. That was the whole point. You get all this connectivity for somewhat of a reasonable price. What you're asking for would cost you literally thousands and thousands of dollars more, because the RME 32AD is exactly that, analog to digital. You still have to buy the digital analog, or you'd have to get the Ferrofish. But if you want the added protocols of Dante, you need to buy another unit. What's that going to cost? Another $2,000, $3,000 on top? Why not just simplify? Get the Galaxy. It does everything, all in one box. It's really not that difficult to understand there, Mr. Mindflare. Jeez, I think you lived up to your screen name, except you used it on yourself. Ugh. You guys wonder why I yell all the time.
Hello, Shouty Bloke. Nice to meet you at the JP gig.
Oh, that is Mr. If I'm pronouncing this correctly, Sean Tig 3077. That is Mr. Ian Hill's bass tech. I actually got to meet him at the Judas Priest show in Vegas last week. That was a real pleasure. I even got to meet Ian Hill from Judas Priest, one of the founding members of Priest. Only waited 40 years for that to happen, so that was real nice. Got to see Andy Sneap, of course, and check out the Priest show. We were there with Gary Kayler. We got some really cool stuff coming up with Kayler. And if a bunch of you guys just said, ew, Kayler, what's that all about? Okay, guitar forms are one thing, but we're interested in dealing with reality on this show. Let's just say this. I'm going to be taking a look at some Kayler trems and showing you guys what the advantages and disadvantages of them are. They're a really cool piece of kit, though, and they kind of fell on the wayside over the last 20 years. I mean, let's face it, their artist list looks like, the roll call at a fucking Gen X retirement home. They haven't really brought in a new artist in a very, very long time. Hopefully we're going to be able to turn that around a little bit, because I think it's a really cool piece of tech that needs a little bit more presence on here. And we're going to be taking a look at a replica Glenn Tipton Stratocaster that Kayler has built in order to auction off to raise money for Glenn Tipton's Parkinson's Foundation. And I'm going to be reviewing that guitar here on the show in a few weeks. I think it's going to be super cool. I got to play it. It was freaking amazing. That's the guitar Glenn used on Green Man Alashi, a lot of British Seal, Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith, a lot of the metal classics. Very cool stuff indeed. Can't wait to show you guys. And once again, it's going to be up for grabs on an auction to raise money for Parkinson's. Kayler asked me if I wanted to get involved, and I'm like, of course, anything I can do to help out. I am a gigantic Judas Priest fan, and the fact I was even asked to help with this, I think, is a tremendous honor. So I'm totally on board with this. I'm going to keep you guys posted on that. It's going to be a really interesting time. But I just want to give a great big shout out to everybody in Priest, and especially to their management organization for inviting us to the Vegas show. And I just want to give a great big salute to their crew as well. We got to walk backstage there and just see what's going on. There's a lot of people back there working very hard in order to make the band look and sound fantastic. I think they do an absolutely brilliant job, and they don't get enough credit. So massive salute to Judas Priest road crew. You guys are absolutely amazing. Once again, thank you so much for having us. It was a real honor and privilege. I'm absolutely grateful. And yes, I will take that as a badge of honor. I've been dubbed the Shouty Bloke from YouTube by Ian Hill's bass tech. Thank you so much.
How was Sabaton? They're one of my favorite bands.
Well, they're like a pizza. Cheesy as hell. My wife loves Sabaton too. Every time I say that, that just pisses her right off. It's like, you built your drum riser on a foot of a fucking tank! Honestly, though, they put on a great show. Lots of synchronized swing, very nice sing-along power metal cliches. Yeah, if that's your thing, they do it really, really, really well.
Also, Glenn, we really need a room treatment video. Like, expecting musicians to figure out how to use a bandsaw, chop saw, table saw, etc. without shredding themselves all over the floor is hilarious. Can you show alternate setups in more detail, like the bookshelf thing or the laundry in the corner thing, like you've mentioned before?
I would agree with that. Most home studios, they've got gear, but they don't have any acoustic treatment to think of. And then they wonder why their mixes sound like garbage in the real world. Guys, you got to be able to hear what's coming out of your speakers. In order to do that, you need some proper treatment. I don't actually trust myself around chop saws and table saws and that kind of shit. I've never really used them because I'm always afraid I'm going to saw my arm off or something like that. So I prefer to, ask my friends to do it who are much more skilled at this sort of thing. When I've got a video on how to build your own bass truss, but I actually use steel studs, and I show you how to take tin snips, and that I managed to use without chopping my fingers off, which is really nice, and make a frame for them, and you can take two pieces of rigid fiberglass and put them in and cover it with cloth, and it works out pretty well. The other thing is I've been talking a little bit with Gick Acoustics. Maybe we're going to do some work on my drum room in here over the short term, but the long term is, and I had a few discussions with a few people at AES, and hopefully I'm going to be able to partner up with a couple brands here. When I build the new studio, I'll be showing you guys every step of the way what's going on, how I treat the rooms and why, and that sort of thing. The short advice I can give you, though, is I don't have a lot of space to really do alternates like that. But I will say this, if you're mixing in your bedroom, you've got a closet on the other opposite wall, aim your speakers at it, open your closet up, and hang your shirts So you got maybe an inch air gap between them all. It'll blow your mind how much that tightens up your bottom end. I did it in my house in here. It worked out fucking amazing. Try it for yourself. You won't regret it. It is worth the effort.
Hey Glenn, love your content. You being an Apple guy, how do you feel about Logic Pro? Is it worth the investment or is Reaper a still good way to go?
I'm not an Apple guy. I'm a PC guy who got dragged kicking and screaming into the Apple world. And I will say this, I don't miss blue screens of death. Yes, I'm talking to you, Neve. Man, so many people got pissed off of that video. You're just fucking... It's like, wow, a lot of people get really defensive about their PCs. And that's fine. You know, I was one of them too, but... You know, when I started doing this for a living, the less I could afford downtime. And that is one thing I don't miss. As for the Logic thing, never used it. I know there are people who swear by it. I'm not the right guy to give you advice on that. All I can say is this. I'm probably the only guy in the world running Reaper into a fucking Neve console. But you know what? It works brilliantly, so I'm not planning on changing anytime soon. I don't know though. Maybe I'll take another look at Studio One or Cubase at some point. Might be kind of cool. I'd really like to take another look at Harrison Mixbus as well, because that was a brilliant piece of software too. And as for an in-the-box solution, I've actually done a whole record on that. I did the Vice album there a few years back. It was done completely in Harrison Mixbus, and it was freaking amazing. But my advice here is this: if you're going to be a well-rounded engineer, it's probably worth it to learn more than one system. Maybe see if there's a trial version or something of Logic. Try it out and see how you like it.
Well, hello there, neighbor. Are you having trouble getting your bass to sound just right in your mix? Well, gosh darn it, we've all been there, haven't we? But guess what? Element Bass is here to help. It's the ultimate bass amp sim because it just works. You'll get such rich, deep bass, your whole mix will feel like a warm hug. And don't worry about your bass player's amp. Element Bass is way better, but let's keep that our little secret, okay? So why not treat yourself to something nice? Because gosh darn it, your music deserves it.
Okay, guys, we're going to do something a little different this week. We're not going to do Butthurt of the Week. Actually, I ran across a really nice statement here, so we're going to do the Affirmation of the Week. This is for all you guys who keep coming back week after week after week and actually enjoy the show and get something useful out of it.
Man, I have to say thanks for being you. I actually stumbled across your channel from bizarre, salty Reddit thread, thinking to myself, surely he can't be worth the venom.
Yeah, they really do love me over on Reddit, don't they?
And you aren't worth the hate at all. I was worried not being a metalhead might turn me away. And hey, sometimes I feel a bit lost with some of the production references, but that's on me. But your honesty, straightforwardness, and candor is invaluable. It's primarily sort of posy, fragile, somewhat in denial online guitar world. I am learning a lot, and I might even submit a song for the Monday listening show, even though it will be a bit more country rock. Thanks again, man, truly.
Dude, hey, I really appreciate that. First and foremost, I welcome all kinds of music on my mix review show, and your name is Ashley Crace Music. Well, thanks for stopping by, Ashley. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. My mission here isn't to invalidate people's purchases, but I mean, like, that's half the reason they click on videos is because they want to see if they did the right thing or not. My job is to just help you cut through the bullshit out there. And when it comes to a lot of things about guitar sound, there is an awful lot of bullshit and not backed up by a lot of evidence. I like doing recordings, I like taking measurements and seeing what actually does what. And that tends to rub some people the wrong way because they don't treat guitar playing or recording guitar objectively. They treat it like a religion. And when somebody comes along with evidence that debunks religion, well, you know, that just tends to really piss people off. I mean, like, just look at what the Vatican wanted to do to Galileo for proving that the earth revolved around the sun. For the record, that kind of zealotry is still going on to this day. Thanks again for stopping by. And yeah, if you want to stop by Monday Mix Reviews, I welcome all forms of music. We've had some absolutely incredible country rock mixes on the show. I'm more than happy to hear it because it's cool to break up the genres every now and then instead of hearing, you know, song after song after song. It's like da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. A little bit bored with that kind of sound. It's been 10 fucking years. Maybe we can try something new. Oh no, not that. Think for myself. Be creative. Ew, what I fucking hate that guy! I'm gonna say nasty things about him on Reddit!
I realized this very early on in my quest as soon as I tried impulse responses for recording in my tiny apartment silently. As long as the original engineers that captured famous tones won't spill the beans on the speaker microphone setups, everything else is superstition and hype to generate sales and confirmation bias of opinionated trolls. Style is in the hands. tone is not. It's in the speaker mic combination and to a certain extent the pickup.
And that vanishes as soon as you start adding any kind of gain.
Everything else in between is less ephemeral and can be figured out in terms of gain structure. There's lots of knowledge from the engineers back in the days that, in my opinion, is getting lost, not just for guitar tone.
Oh, I would completely agree. When it comes to how to record live drums, whew, that is a dying art, and it's not really the fault of anybody except for real estate speculators, because, you know, it's just really, really difficult to get a space to record drums in these days. I don't know. I've been looking to build a new studio in some kind of commercial building in the Windsor area, and the prices on real estate have just tripled in like the last 10 years. It's just absolutely bonkers out here. That's why I'm building something new. But thanks for dropping by, and like I said, that's exactly what I've been finding. It's like, yes, style is in the hands, but the actual tone, how the guitar sound is going to work across speaker monitors, that's all down to the speaker mic combination. And a great example of that is, if you think pickups make a gigantic difference, you take a look like a band like Slayer, Metallica, and even to an extent Judas Priest. They all have very, very different guitar sounds, but they're all running EMGs. And why is that? Different speakers, different cabinets, and different microphones. Just keep that in mind when you're on a quest to find your own guitar sound.
Hey Glenn, I got the new Audient Evo 16 interface and I love the feature on it, and it really makes it easy for me to record drums or any instrument with this smart gain technology. Well, I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Thank you for all your great content, and fuck you from Florida.
Hey, Kevin Fox, thanks for writing in. I appreciate it. The Evo 16 is actually a killer piece of kit. That was the first interface I ever encountered that had some kind of auto gain feature, and it works absolutely fucking great. There's actually a video up on my channel. We did this a couple years ago. We went to Audient in England, and we recorded drums with the Evo 16 using the auto gain feature, and it was great. It's just bang, 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 bang. Fucking press record and go. No worrying. It just worked really well. And then we recorded a couple of promos out in front of Jane Austen's house. I thought that was hilarious. Those are on my shorts feed somewhere. That was a lot of fun doing those. But yeah, seriously, the Evo 16, just an absolute killer piece of gear. Now, please don't forget, we've got that tech starting to pop up in a whole bunch of different interfaces in this generation. I think Audient was the first to do it. PreSonus just put out a couple of interfaces that I reviewed. They do it as well. And apparently Focusrite's new Scarlett 8 or 16, that's going to have some kind of a similar feature as well. That's going to be coming to the show next month. I was talking with the folks at Focusrite when I was at AES, and they're definitely interested in seeing that on the show, so we're going to take a look at that. I know Focusrite is a real popular brand with a lot of you guys, and they might have really knocked it out of the park with this one. Looked very promising. Had a couple other little enhanced features on it as well. It's going to be really, really cool. One thing I really like about the Evo 16, I'm just checking the price here on SweetWater. It's only $579 for an 8-channel with auto gain. That is freaking awesome. I can't say enough good things about the Audient stuff. It sounds great. You know, we had one of the large format consoles in the Hollywood studio there for a while. That was really cool too. I will say this, the people at Audient are just simply awesome. In fact, they hired my very good friend, Adam Steele. You guys remember him from the Hot Pole Studios show. He's working for Audient full time now. Yeah, just a really awesome dude as well. Great people at Audient. You know what? You just can't go wrong getting one of those units.
I picked up a Cherry Carbon V3 100 watt for $400. It even has a line out. Thanks, Glenn. I was going to get a twin reverb, $1,400, so that was the question. $299 in pedals will get the reverb and tremolo.
This is in regards to some of my amp shootout videos where I'm showing like cheaper alternatives to much more expensive amps, and magically, if you turn the knobs, they do tend to sound the same. Just make sure you test it with a reamp unit so you can see what you're actually getting. That being said, yeah, the Carbon V3, I think, has the reputation of being a really cool amp. I don't know how much gain's on the thing, but if you can get it to do what you want it to do, hey, you know what, especially for a $400 price, dude, that's fucking awesome. And you can probably save a lot more on pedals if you check out some bargain bin units on Amazon. You might be surprised at what you get for your money. Now, I am no expert on reverb pedals. In fact, I know little to none because I don't normally like to put a lot of reverb on heavy metal rhythm tracks. For advice on reverb pedals, I would say go talk to Ryan Burke over at the 60 Cycle Hum channel. Great guy, very knowledgeable, especially when it comes to clean tones, reverb, and surf rock and all that kind of shit. Something I know absolutely nothing about. He'd be the guy to ask, though. See what he has to say. Go check him out when you're done watching this. Tell him I sent you.
I think something that gets lost on people who are new to recording is that they aren't monitoring their input signal without an amp sim on. They think they can just turn down the output of the amp sim and think they aren't clipping. After that, they should be monitoring their clean DI signal with no plugins turned on.
Jared, that's a fucking phenomenal observation. I think you've got a very good point. Yeah, I think a lot of guys just turn on the amp sim and don't even listen to their clean sound coming in. And I think that's something that should probably be fixed. In fact, I'm going to probably do a guide on how to not fuck up your DI tracks, because despite all the wealth of information online, I still get mangled DI tracks that are either way too hot or way too quiet, and it's just a great big pain in the dick. So that I'm going to add into my video for general advice. I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much for sharing with the class.
Am I the only one surprised that a 100K console doesn't even have the option for some ADDA stuff?
Am I the only one surprised that Ivan isn't smart enough to turn his caps lock off? Ivan, thank you so much for writing in and sharing your valid and very important opinion with the rest of us mere mortals. The problem with your observation is this. This guy right here does have an option for ADDA. You can get MADI cards, and that will go directly into an RME interface. No problems whatsoever. Gets all your connections down to 2 cables. I may at some point buy those MIDI cards. I'm just not prepared to do it quite yet. But that is a possibility in the future. I'll let you know. But yes, Neve does make MADI cards for the console. Maybe, before typing in comments and spreading misinformation, do a little bit of research before you go shooting off your big fucking stupid mouth.
You're such a hypocrite. All you used to do is show that video of Mac on fire. I've been telling you for years to use Mac. Now because you do PC suck, lol.
Well, I never said PCs suck. PCs are fine as long as you don't mind blue screens to the death and troubleshooting and all the rest of the bullshit. The great thing about Mac is when you turn it on, it fucking works. Like I said, I was dragged into the Mac world kicking and screaming. My opinion might have changed over time. That's the thing. I'm not a fucking religious fanatic. I change my opinion based on what's observed. I was a diehard PC guy for years and years and years and years. But as this became my career, I have to get video out the fucking door. That means I just can't trust a PC to not fail on me. With this, I've got Apple Care, so if something does go wrong, I'm back up and running, and I don't have to fuck with it.
Nobody rages harder than a PC user when someone else says they're enjoying their Mac.
Boy, that's the wisest statement I've read today. Damn, Brandon, you nailed that one right on the head.
I definitely remember the days when you were a PC evangelist, Glenn, or at least very Apple resistant. Anyway, I want that Hail Sagan shirt.
Hey everybody, it's James Murphy, former lead player for Obituary, Testament, and Death. James is a really good friend. I met him on the Andy Sneap forum, almost 20 years ago now. If you're in the market to get an amazing shred lead put on your project, talk to James, because I know he really likes doing that sort of thing. Just an amazing person. And yes, he's absolutely right. I was definitely against the whole Apple ecosystem, and I was right up until the M1s came out. I mean, I even built a dual boot Hackintosh system and had that running here for a couple of years, and that was great because I was so resistant to getting onto the Mac system. But the M1s kind of changed the game. They're quiet, they're super powerful, and they're reasonably affordable, which I think is fucking awesome. But let's be clear, they absolutely positively suck when it comes to gaming. So there is that. But they do render 4K video real fucking fast with those M1 chips. So it's all a bit of a balance. So in other words, I do all my work on my Mac, but when it's game time, I'm using my PC. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks everybody for watching and subscribing, all that stuff. Make sure you check out the Oldies But Baddies competition. I've got links for everything below. And I want to see you cover a TV show theme song, heavy metal style. It's going to be an awful lot of fun. I'm giving away my Rev Generator Mark III as the grand prize. My thanks to you for being part of this show, for coming back week after week after week, and just generally being awesome people all together. Can't wait to hand that out to somebody who deserves it. I'm going to start looking at the entries next month, but the contest will not end until I hit 600,000 subscribers. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. It will just help me get that much closer to giving somebody an awesome amp. It's going to cost you absolutely nothing to hit the subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. All right, that's it from Spectre Sound Studios for this week. I'll see you guys next week. Got a whole bunch of really cool stuff coming up, including I'm going to be taking a look at a rather cheap amp and putting it up against a Sildano. And no, it's not a Valve King. It's something else. It's something I've been looking at for a very long time. I finally got my hands on one, and it is super cool. And it only cost me 300 Canadian dollars. It's about 240 American. Hell of a bargain. I think you guys are going to like that one. Make sure you subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. All right. Oof. All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a good... All right, let's hope you're getting... Let's calm down here and think for a second. Anyway, this... Okay, now I've got that. Also, Glenn,